You ever open your door and feel like you stepped into a crime scene? Because that's how my Tuesday started. And no, this wasn't a prank. It was HOA-sanctioned vandalism. Well, not officially, but when you live in a gated community where Karen runs the HOA like it's a dictatorship, you start to question what's official and what's just her latest tantrum. And here's the real kicker. She had no idea who I was. She thought I was just some retired nobody with a fancy house and a quiet lawn. What she didn't know was that I've spent 27 years handing out justice from the bench. That I've seen lies unfold in real time and watched people destroy their lives over a grudge. So when Karen decided to make me her next target with fines, threats, and eventually full-blown property damage, she didn't just mess with the wrong homeowner. She declared war on a judge who's seen people like her crumble in court. And trust me, I was about to remind her. Cut to black screen text. She crossed the wrong line. I moved into this neighborhood to get away from the noise. After 27 years in the criminal justice system, I wanted calm, a garden, a porch, a morning routine without subpoenas or cross-examinations. What I didn't expect was to land in the middle of HOA hell. It started small, a pink notice on my mailbox. Please repaint your shutters to match HOA-approved color scheme. Harmless enough, but strange since the house was freshly painted before purchase in the exact color listed in the HOA manual. I shrugged it off, repainted them anyway. No big deal. Then came the next notice. Remove the wind chime noise violation. A wind chime on a property that backs up to acres of open space. I laughed until I noticed 3 other neighbors with wind chimes still up, untouched. I started asking around. Yeah, my neighbor Elise said, Karen has a thing for new residents, especially ones who don't show up to HOA meetings. I'd never been to one, hadn't even met Karen in person. But apparently I was already on her list. That week I got fined for unauthorized pavers in my garden. The same pavers the previous owner installed 5 years ago. I sent a polite letter to the board. No reply. I emailed. Nothing. Then one evening I found a copy of the HOA handbook duct taped to my door with the words, "Follow the rules," scribbled across the cover in marker. I was being harassed. But that was just the beginning. Let me walk you through just how far Karen went, because this wasn't your average passive-aggressive HOA nonsense. This became psychological warfare. Incident #1, the grass length citation. One morning I came home to another pink slip taped to my garage. Lawn exceeds maximum height of 3 inches. $150 fine. My lawn was trimmed meticulously. In fact, I measured it just to be petty 2.6 inches. But that didn't matter. The next day, my sprinklers were mysteriously shut off at the valve. Coincidence? Maybe. Until I checked my security camera. There she was. Karen crouched behind my azalea bush with a wrench in hand, looking like a discount Mission Impossible agent. I sent the footage to the HOA board. No response. Incident #2, the trash can violation. Apparently having my trash can visible for more than 12 minutes after pickup was now a $200 offense. I timed it, 12 minutes and 45 seconds. And just like clockwork, Karen was parked across the street in her beige SUV, snapping photos like she was documenting a crime scene. My neighbor Tom, who leaves his trash out until sundown, not a single citation. Incident #3, the holiday lights catastrophe. Now this was the tipping point. I had just strung up a few white lights for my niece's winter visit. Nothing major. No blinking inflatables or blinding spotlights. Just soft white LEDs along the roofline. That night I heard a pop, pop, pop sound outside. I ran out. Half my lights had been cut, as in snipped clean with wire cutters. And in the snow, clear as day boot prints, leading straight back across the street to Karen's house. I confronted her the next day. Calm, composed, I knocked. She opened the door with a smirk that could sour milk. Me. I think someone vandalized my property last night. Karen, shrugging. Oh, probably some punk kids. Me. Funny. Those kids wear size 7 women's boots with orthopedic soles? Her face twitched. And then she said the words that sealed her fate. If you don't like the rules, maybe this isn't the right neighborhood for you. The private meeting. I requested a meeting with the HOA. They scheduled it. Karen presided over it naturally. As I walked into the clubhouse, she smirked again and said, "Let's keep it brief. We all have lives. That's when I realized she wasn't just enforcing rules. She was using the HOA to punish people she didn't like. It wasn't about lawns or lights. It was about control. And she thought I was just another retiree with too much time and not enough backbone. She had no idea who she was playing games with. I left that meeting and made a phone call. Not to a lawyer, to the state licensing board. Because you see, Karen wasn't just a neighborhood menace. She was also a licensed real estate broker, and she had just violated multiple housing ethics codes. I started gathering evidence. Video of her trespassing, recordings of selective enforcement, witness statements from 3 other neighbors who had also been targeted. But that wasn't enough. No, I had something else planned. Something poetic. The vandalism that crossed the line. A week later, I woke up to red spray paint across my door. Violation, remove, now. That's when I knew it wasn't just harassment anymore. It was criminal, and that was her mistake. Because now, I could take this public, not just to the HOA, to the media, to the licensing board, and if necessary to the bench. Because remember, I wasn't just a victim in this story. I was a judge. I am a judge. And I know exactly how to make justice feel like a symphony. So while Karen slept peacefully in her beige palace of delusion, I was crafting the perfect crescendo. The paperwork was ready. The complaints were filed. And the plan? Let's just say, it involved a little surprise at the next HOA meeting, and a few unexpected guests. Cliffhanger, because Karen thought she was the one making the rules. She forgot what happens when the law fights back. And at the next HOA meeting, she was going to learn exactly who she'd been messing with. I didn't want revenge. I wanted a reckoning. Karen had spent months turning this peaceful neighborhood into her own petty kingdom. But like most bullies, she never expected anyone to fight back, let alone a judge who's seen entire courtrooms fall silent at the sound of their name. It was time to shift the power dynamic legally, publicly, and permanently. Step 1, the paper trail. I started by compiling a formal complaint to the State Real Estate Board citing unethical conduct, neighbor harassment, conflict of interest within the HOA, and repeated trespassing. The evidence was watertight. Video footage of her tampering with my sprinkler valves. Photos of her SUV parked outside while she took unauthorized violation pictures. The spray paint incident with matching paint found in her unlocked garage. Thank you, concerned neighbor Elise. Witness testimonies from 3 other residents who were randomly fined for rules Karen never enforced on her friends. All of it? Packaged neatly with timestamps, signed affidavits, and a polite cover letter. From the desk of retired Superior Court Judge H. Emerson Lane. Step 2, the meeting setup. I requested another HOA board meeting. Karen, oblivious to what was coming, approved it, even made a snide comment in the newsletter. Certain residents need extra clarification about community expectations. Come and support your HOA. Oh, I'd be there, but I wouldn't be coming alone. Step 3, the guests. I reached out to 2 important contacts. Lisa, a reporter at the local news station who owed me a favor from a fraud case years back. Jeff, a state licensing agent who happened to live 2 counties over and was very interested in HOA overreach trends. They both agreed to attend. Quietly, as observers. That HOA meeting, it would be the last one Karen ever ran. Step 4, the showdown. The evening of the meeting, I arrived early, wore my old black robe not to intimidate but as a statement. Karen laughed when she saw me. Karen, well, someone's feeling theatrical tonight. Me, smiling. Just wanted to make sure the law was properly represented. The room filled up quickly, more than usual. Word had spread. Apparently I wasn't the only one she crossed. Midway through the agenda, just as Karen began reading off yet another proposed rule about patio furniture color restrictions, I raised my hand. I'd like to propose a motion, a vote of no confidence in the HOA president based on ongoing abuse of power and verified misconduct. She froze. Karen, excuse me? Me, you've repeatedly issued fraudulent citations, selectively enforced rules, vandalized private property, and acted outside your authority as a real estate agent under HOA protection. Then I placed the evidence packet on the table. Bound, indexed, signed. All of this is now under review by the State Real Estate Commission. Gasps, murmurs. The board members flipped through pages. Her own allies looked pale. Symbolic action, the gavel dropped, and then came the cherry on top. I reached into my bag and placed an actual courtroom gavel on the table. From this point forward, any decision made by this board under Karen's leadership is subject to legal review, including financial penalties issued to residents. Karen stood up. Karen, this is harassment. You're turning this into a circus. Me, no, Karen, you turned it into a circus. I'm just bringing the audience. That line got a slow clap from the back of the room. Tom the trash can guy. Step 5, the collapse. Karen stormed out. The vice president, a quiet man named Bill who had apparently had enough, called for a vote of no confidence. The motion passed, unanimously. Karen was removed from her position. An emergency audit of all HOA fines and citations was scheduled, and Jeff, the licensing agent, made it very clear. Pending investigation, your real estate license may be suspended. The power had shifted, and it started with one person saying, enough. 2 weeks after the HOA meeting that ended with Karen storming out and a unanimous vote of no confidence, our quiet neighborhood felt different, calmer. No more pink slips taped to doors. No more silent cars patrolling with clipboards. No more Karen. But I wasn't done yet. Justice isn't about making noise. It's about making it stick. The fallout. First, the audit. Karen had personally authorized over $14,000 in questionable fines in the past year alone, all targeting just 5 homeowners. She couldn't explain the discrepancies, and she definitely couldn't explain the missing receipts. Turns out she'd been handling payments off the books, often collecting checks herself and never depositing them into the HOA's account. That wasn't just unethical. It was embezzlement. The new board treasurer, Elise, the neighbor who'd shared that Karen had it out for new residents, called me the moment they confirmed it. It's worse than we thought, she said. You lit the match. We're just watching it burn now. The license suspension. A month later, the state board sent official notice. Karen's real estate license was suspended indefinitely pending investigation for misconduct, HOA-related fraud, and conduct unbecoming of a licensed agent. Her brokerage dropped her immediately. Gone were the ads, the bus stop bench signs. Her website went offline within 48 hours. And just like that, Karen lost the power she thought would protect her forever. The public reckoning. Remember Lisa, the news reporter? She aired a 3-minute expose titled, When HOA Power Goes Too Far, How One Judge Turned the Gavel on Abuse. The opening shot? Karen's red spray-painted violation across my door, followed by footage of her twisting my sprinkler valve like a backyard saboteur. Then a soundbite of me saying, sometimes justice doesn't start in a courtroom, it starts on your lawn. The video went viral. Neighbors I didn't even know walked up to shake my hand. Well, some called me a hero. I just called it doing the job. The final encounter. Karen never apologized, but I did run into her once more. In the grocery store. She pretended not to see me. I didn't need her to look. I simply walked past, paused, and said just loud enough, next time, try using a brush instead of a can. She flinched, and I kept walking. Power move, the sign. One last detail. Remember the HOA handbook she duct taped to my door? I framed that cover page still marked with follow the rules in her handwriting and placed it next to a wooden gavel in my living room. Below it, I added a brass plaque. Here lies HOA tyranny. Overruled. Looking back, I never imagined I'd come out of retirement to fight a war over wind chimes and pavers. But that's the thing about bullies, they thrive when good people stay silent. And sometimes they forget that the quietest neighbor might just be the one who knows exactly how the system works. I didn't expose Karen because I wanted revenge. I exposed her because everyone else was too afraid to. Because people like her wrap themselves in rules they don't follow. They weaponize structure, hide behind titles, and hope that no one calls their bluff. But in the end, she wasn't overthrown by rage. She was overthrown by her own paperwork, her own patterns, her own arrogance, and justice. Well, justice just showed up wearing gardening gloves and a quiet smile. Takeaway. Real power doesn't shout, it waits. And when the time is right, it doesn't fight back. It simply exposes the truth. If there's a Karen in your neighborhood, let this be your reminder. Document. Stay calm, stay smart. And if you're lucky, maybe you won't even have to bring out the gavel. Comment prompt. Have you ever dealt with an out-of-control HOA or a neighborhood tyrant? Drop your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you made it to the end, comment justice served, so I know you're one of the real ones. And hey, if you ever get a violation for excessive bird feeder enthusiasm, don't fight it with fists. Fight it with receipts. Like, comment, and subscribe for more true stories where poetic justice always has the final word. Until next time. Gavel dropped.